What I really want to talk about, guys, is it's a mystery. A mystery that scientists don't know, they can't fathom where the balls are coming from, where the balls came from. Where did all the balls come from? The balls in Costa Rica. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, the balls. You know, they're not frosty balls. They're made out of rock hard balls in Costa Rica. You ever hear about those before? Blue balls? No, they're not blue. I'll show you a video of it, okay? I really want to know. Somebody tell me where the balls are coming from, please.
Hello everyone, this is Randy Clark here. Hey listen, I've got a mystery for you here today, and it takes place in an area in Costa Rica. In the 1930s, they found this mysterious huge ball in the middle of a field. It literally looked like a sphere, almost a perfect sphere, made out of stone in Costa Rica. And when they found this, they didn't have any idea what this was all about. They went to the local people, and no one in the local area knew anything about these balls and who made them and where they come from. They started to find them in different sizes. These here, this one here is probably about a 4,000 pound, 5,000 pound sphere. They started finding them all over the place in Costa Rica. When it was all said and done, they started finding them like 12,000. Here's a 12-ton one right here. They started finding ones like this, probably about 10,000 pounds each. But the bottom line is these things are all over the island in Costa Rica. Now, when you see one of these things in person, I mean, they're absolutely, mammoth in size when you stand next to one of these things. Kind of reminds me of a movie called Raiders of the Lost Ark back in the 80s, where Harrison Ford is running away from one of these big, huge spheres. Well, there's no doubt that Steven Spielberg, when he made that movie, he had these spheres in mind. He had these big, huge, round spheres. He knew about these, and that's why it was put into the movie. But the bottom line is, incredible story, because there was over 300 of these things found in Costa Rica. They started finding them in the jungle, and here's one here, probably about 3,000 pounds, but perfectly round. I mean, some of them had been broken. You can see this one has some kind of a line there, a crack in the top there. But a lot of these are, 300, 400, 500 pounds. But some of these are just incredible. Here's one here in the jungle right here, probably about a 4,000 pound sphere, just sitting right there next to a tree. Again, these two here, probably 8,000, 10,000 pounds. But the bottom line is, imagine walking through a jungle and all of a sudden you run into one of these spheres. I mean, I'd be wondering, is this, what is this thing, number one, and what's it doing here? But the bottom line is, they're found all over the place in Costa Rica. And what ended up happening was they started running into some real big ones. They found some that were as much as 30,000 pounds. I mean, we're talking huge. And these things were, you can't just move one of these things over. I mean, you'd need probably one of the largest cranes on planet Earth in order to just pick up one of these things because they're that heavy. 30,000 pounds is a lot of weight. But try moving one of those things, and then try making one of these things. I mean, how did these things get made? That's the other thing. Who made these things? Because no one in the local area knows anything about these spheres. There's nothing in the historical record about making these things. There's no tribes, there's no local people. But how did they do this? I mean, these things are estimated to be thousands of years old, at least about 1,000 years old, roughly. And here they are on the beach in Costa Rica, right there on the beach. Imagine walking down the beach and you see about a 12,000 pound rock sphere coming out of the water, right there in the sand. I mean, it's got to be an amazing sight to see in person. Incredible story with these 300 spheres that were found in Costa Rica. Now, there's only a few left in the original locations. Here's one of them, and that's because they're still under the ground. Most of these were buried under the ground, and because of a plantation that went in through the area, it took about 10 years to make these plantations back in the 30s. They just started ripping down the jungles, and they started unearthing these rocks, and they had to remove them because they wanted to build banana plantations in that area. So they were removed and put all over the island. So you'll find them in parks. You'll find them all over, and because of a plantation that went in through the area, it took about 10 years to make these plantations back in the 30s.
See, they were originally found buried. Okay? Now, guys, I have a Facebook group I encourage you all to join. It's called Inverted Earth Glass Sky Truth Group. And actually, I posted this video in the group. And I want you to understand something about the fact of the true form of the universe, that we're living inside the Earth. That means the planets are tiny. The tiny. Earth is not a planet. Earth contains all the planets, right? So, is it possible that these balls, maybe they're planets, maybe they're the moons of planets, you know, the satellites of planets, maybe they fell down during the Great Deluge? You think that's a possibility? I mean, why would anybody in the right mind have this ingenious craftsmanship, the ability, the deft ability to carve these, these are perfectly round. Perfectly round, huge spheres. Even if they were giants, okay? Why would they just bury them? Bury them under the ground? Where's the logic in that? Anybody want to tell me that? I'd like to know. There's Zeta Reticuli he's a real good, helpful aid in disseminating the truth about the concave Earth. But anyway, he's in the group there. He just made a couple funny comments about it when I made that posting. Very cool. It wouldn't make any sense for someone to sit there and waste their time carving stones into perfect spheres for no reason. And I'm like, yeah. And then bury them, duh. He's like, oh, look at me. I'm going to sit here for months, possibly years, just to perfectly carve a big-ass stone into a sphere and bury it underground for nobody to see for no reason. There's no logic if these stones were crafted by hand. But if you understand that everything is small up in space, inner space is actually, outer space is actually inner space. Planets are small. The moons of planets are small. And there was a great flood. And these balls probably came down from space. That's why they're buried. That's why they had to be unearthed. It's the only logical explanation I can think of. Only logical explanation, guys. Spaceballs, exactly. Spaceballs. Yes, pre-flood spheres, Kieran, sunk into the ground over time. Maybe this, when they hit the ground, I'm sure they, they had to sink. Maybe the ground was soft. It didn't actually have to be that soft. With the momentum and the velocity that they came crashing in. So anyway, that is my theory. And I think it's about 1,000 times more credulous than anything else out there. Concave Earth, moons of planets, flood, fell down. Just another piece of evidence that we're living inside the Earth. See, all these mysteries are solved with a simple logic that we live in the Earth and there's a glass sky. Tektites, there's a mystery of the origin of tektites. Where did Libyan desert glass come from? Now we have the balls of Costa Rica. Maybe some of everybody's saying I'm going to you with a bit of rain and whatnot, but who knows? I'm just saying. Now, some of these balls do have carvings on them, but those could have been added later. There's etchings on them, some of them. But these are like perfectly round. Today's day and age of advanced technology, we can't make these spheres. Perfectly round spheres. Now you could say, okay, well, they built the pyramids, what, 4,000 years ago, when they had, highly advanced technology, or not technology, highly advanced civilization to actually construct the accuracy of the pyramid. So it's very possible that somebody could carve these stones to, an accuracy matching that of the pyramids. But I don't know. Why? Why have them being buried on the ground? I don't know. Anyway, that's my theory. That they came from space. They came from inner space during the flood. I found engravings, helicopters, and airplanes. The giants had big knockers. They used laser, exactly. They used laser technology. They 3D printed these balls. Alien space balls.
They just started ripping down the jungles, and they started unearthing these rocks, and they had to remove them because they wanted to build banana plantations in that area. So they were removed and put all over the island. So you'll find them in parks. You'll find them all over in Costa Rica. If you go anywhere in Costa Rica, you're going to see these huge, giant stone balls everywhere.